greatly to be. Father, you reign. Great are you, Lord. You are greatly to be. Greatly to be. Greatly to be. Greatly to be. Father, you reign. Father, sing great are you, Lord. You are greatly to be praised. Greatly to be. Greatly to be. Father, you reign. Sing great are you, Lord. You are greatly to be praised. Greatly to be. Greatly to be. Greatly to be. Father, you reign. Father, you reign. Sing casting crowns, lifting hands, bowing hearts. It's all we've come to do. Sing casting crowns, casting crowns, lifting hands, bowing hearts, bowing. It's all we've come to do. And we wear your glory. Sing your goodness looks good on us. Your goodness looks good on us. And we wear your glory. And we wear your glory. And we wear your glory. Yes, you're good. Your goodness looks good on us. Your goodness looks good on us. And we wear your glory. 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 Amen. His goodness looks good on us, right? Amen. Amen. Good to see you all this morning. Another day of Ignite. Are we excited this morning? All right. All right. So yes. This morning we're here to ignite ourselves some more with more group activities and to learn from one another and to break up into different groups. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the praise and worship, and I'm glad to see your faces. I hope more of us were here, but it's okay. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he's here. So I'll bring up Minister Kofi to get us into the next program. Amen? Amen.
Amen. You guys happy to be here? Oh, you guys could do better than that. You happy to be here? All right. Won't take much time. I'm excited to learn. Can I see your phones? Ready for notes? Let me see the notes app. Show me the notes app. I want to make sure we're ready to take notes. Ready to take notes. Ready to take notes. Ready to take notes. Without taking much time, instead of me going on and on and on about this very great speaker we have, I'll let the introduction itself formally begin. Go ahead and run it, Joe.
Signature winning and dominating. My name is Miss Linda Boateng. Sorry I could not be with you in person today. However, I'm reporting live from Malawi, and I wanted to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Dr. Moses Adoko, who is my mentor, a great leader, a great confidant, a thought provoker, and a change agent. So please stay tuned and receive from his anointing. As I mentioned before, he is my personal mentor, and one of the things that I learned from him as a leader is that we're all leaders in our own right. We can all lead from where we are. As you know, in Mark 10:42, Jesus says that a true leadership is based on serving others and not being served. So as you stay tuned and listen to Dr. Adoko today, I hope that you learn from him, from his stories that he's about to share with you. And I'll give you a short bio so that you can get to know Dr. Moses a little bit better. Dr. Moses is currently the Chief Knowledge Officer of the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. He is a lecturer at the Columbia University and the George Washington University, and also the president of Mac Astro Tech and Services LLC. Prior to his appointment as the Chief Knowledge Officer, he served as the Deputy Chief Knowledge Officer of all 5 NASA centers. In that capacity, he led efforts aimed at ensuring that NASA's technical workforce and practitioners have access to critical, technical, and relevant knowledge and lessons to increase the likelihood of mission success. As I mentioned before, Dr. Adoko is also president of Mac Astro Tech and Services LLC, an international management and leadership consulting firm working with clients to analyze, formulate, innovate, and implement solutions and projects while architecting resilient institutional structures for managing uncertainties. In 2015, Dr. Adoko served as the administrator for the Goddard Space Senior Fellowship Program, a scientific and technical advisory board made up of distinguished scientists and engineers recognized for their accomplishments and contributions to space, science, and exploration. Additionally, Dr. Adoko is also a lecturer at the Columbia University and the George Washington University. He has conducted many technical lectures and workshops across NASA, academia, and international conferences. He continues to speak and advocate for strategic management, responsive management, agile innovation, and technical capability development across government and private sectors and around the world. Dr. Adoko is an esteemed expert in academia, industry, and government. He continues to advance in his role, transforming strategy formulations, executions, and implementation of support of Africa's development. With his distinguished background as Chief Knowledge Officer and the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center and lecturer at universities, he also holds a PhD in Systems Engineering in Aerospace and Complex Systems. Dr. Adoko has been honored with various awards, including the prestigious NASA's Robert H. Goddard Award for Excellence and many international recognitions. So without further ado, again, please welcome Dr. Moses Adoko. Thank you.
This, right? Thank you for having me. That was a very, very long introduction. I wish it had been very succinct and precise. As I've been pointing out to her during our mentoring talks, she will laugh when she hears this comment. Please be ready to let me know what you want to know from me. Is that fair? So start writing down your questions. I have some prepared notes and themes to focus our conversation this morning. But I think you will benefit if I respond directly to some of the concerns, some of the not so clear questions that you may have, not just about space exploration and space science, but about life in general, about preparing for a career, a profession, about even relating to family, friends, and the world, about the uncertainties, the chaos, the confusion in our world, and even about spirituality. So feel free. One of the first things as Chief Knowledge Officer that we teach our NASA engineers and scientists and other allied disciplines is to learn how to say, I don't know, but I'll work to find out. Ms. Osei Boateng will tell you that. That's the first thing anytime we talk that I will highlight. So if you ask me a question and I don't know, despite PhD in aerospace systems engineering, guess what? It means nothing. It means I know how to ask questions and I know how to say I don't know. But I'll work to find out, right? So feel free to ask me questions. If you ask a question and I don't have the answer, I will quickly say, I don't know. But I'll find out. And you may have the answer. All right, let's see. Okay, this is great. Yes, so that I can act a little bit like a Baptist preacher. Is that okay? I can move from place to place. Or a Ghanaian preacher. Or an African preacher. Is that okay? You pick up on my sense of humor. At times it's a little off, but I think you will learn that very quickly. So I'm told, Mr. Seb Watson told me I have the whole day with you. No, I'm kidding. Okay. All right, so yeah, let's see if it works. There we go. Okay, that's neat. So we are going to be all over the map. Life is complex. At times it can be very confusing.
I gave you this mic.
This one. Okay, you can hear me, right? So life is complex. Space science and space exploration, very complex. I do know something about complexity and complications. And one of the first things that I want you to take note of is the fact that when you're dealing with complexity, learn how to be simple. You don't resolve complex things and complicated issues, whether technical devices, human relations, or even things just in your brain, by still being complex. You get more confused. So what we do in space exploration when we are confronted with things we don't know, the unknown, complex systems, how to get spacecraft to work in an environment we have never been before, we attempt to simplify the systems. So make that your first go. So we are going to be all over the map. You're like, where is it going with this? So let me give you a little bit of what we're going to do. I'm going to touch on my formative years and experiences, the kinds of things I went through that shape who I am, my worldview, and where I am today. And the idea of doing this is to get you to begin to reflect on where you are. A few years ago, not many years ago, not many, just a couple of full months ago, I was just like you. So these formative years, very, very important in what you become eventually. I'm going to touch on the art of leadership. I'm really glad Mr. Seb White and Linda touched on this. You are all leaders. There is a misconception that you have to have a big office, an entire organization, about perhaps thousands, reporting to you, and then that makes you a leader. And that's incorrect. Leadership is about influence. So if you can influence one or two of your friends, if you can even influence your parents, you are a leader. There are times even within church environments like this when you are given responsibility to make sure Dr. Adoko walks in and get a seat. And that makes you a leader. So I want you to begin, take note on this, to change your understanding of what leadership means. Leadership is about getting things done. It's about influence. It's not about power and bossing people around. When you see individuals that are bossing others around and they claim to be leaders, they've missed their way. That's not what leadership is about. It's about execution, getting things done, and influencing others. And hopefully you influence others positively. I'm also going to talk about this word, passion. You know, it's so fascinating to see individuals highly skilled in technical things, orbital mechanics, differential equations, advanced mathematical concepts, advanced technology development ideas like quantum, things that are very scary to the uninitiated mind. To see individuals that do this thing and excel in it and still step back and touch on the word passion. What we do at NASA, and for that matter, everything that is complex in the world. If you really want to solve a problem and you don't have this word backing up what you're doing, this word passion, you will get nowhere. So those that excel in complex things that we do, whether medicine, space science, spacecraft development, name it, you would always pick this up. Business leaders, you'll pick this up. Even our parents, the ones that really push things, often you will see this, but we misinterpret it. Oh, she's too much. She's on my case, he's on my case. Often it's passion that is driving them and maybe coming out differently. So I'll touch on passion. Focus and drive. You have to have that to succeed. And as I walk through my journey, it's not really about me. I'll be expecting you to be taking note from how my journey has shaped out, and you will see quickly pick up all of these elements playing out. There is something also that I want to touch about. I know a few things about systems, and we have various kinds of systems, not just spacecraft, not just rockets, but human beings. We exist in a community. This is a system. We have human systems. We have organizations that are systems. Your life is a system made up of different things. You have social, you have spiritual, you have family, you have professional, you have academic, right? You even have cell phone types. I'm joking. So this word system, when you see it, remember it's very important you understand the system you are dealing with and how you are actually handling, managing. My PhD dissertation, what made me a doctor, is in complex systems. So I know a few things, not all things, about systems. If you have no idea the kind of system you are managing, you are dealing with, you'll be so confused in life and very unhappy. You can come to church every Sunday and you'll still be unhappy and can easily be confused. Not because you're not intelligent, it's because you haven't figured out the system, your life as a system. What is impacting that system? What is coming out of that system? So I'll touch on that. Results and outcomes, my goodness. Then I'll say a lot about a lot of things about uncertainty. And then excellence. What does it mean? Action, change. All right. Let's see. There we go. So I'm going to keep quiet. I have this. Just want you to. Yeah, there is audio, so it's not coming out. Okay. What do you think you're looking at? While we are waiting for it to end. Space. Is that cool? What's going on in your mind right now as you're watching this? Amazing. Just amazing. What's going on there? Tell me. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? So what are you picking up? What's going on there? Up here. You want to see it with your own eyes. You want to feel it. I want to feel. By the way, I want to feel it. That's me. I want to. Yes. What's going on up there? Talk to me. It's pretty. It's Whoa. Yes. Yes. It puts me to sleep at times. And there are more. Yes. What's going on up there? Tell me. You have to react to this. Yeah. You can't even explain, right? Okay. Fascinating when you talk to our astronauts. And they haven't gone this far. This is coming from a series of observations from a telescope called the Hubble. You may have heard about the Hubble Space Telescope. And the Science Institute that actually puts this together is right here in Baltimore. But we do all the science. I'll get into the presentation shortly, and you may have one-on-one with me and ask all kinds of questions. But this is right here. The mission that did this from my center, the Goddard Space Flight Center, where currently I'm the Chief Knowledge Officer. We have a workforce close to 13,000, 1-3, civil servants and contractors, name it, academics combined. So as Chief Knowledge Officer, I'm responsible for that amount of people. Does that make me a leader? No. If I don't have influence, I'm not a leader. I want you to change your definition of leadership. It's not about power. It's not about the role. It's not about the title. It's not about even your academic credentials. There are leaders that nobody takes serious. And there are individuals within large organizations that have so much influence. They are the real leaders. They get things done. They get things moving. People listen to them. And you know if you go to them, if you go to Kofi, you will get something done, right? That's a leader. So he may not have any title. I want you to change this definition. And by the way, that's the definition we use. So we'll say, oh, he's a leader, she's a leader. And then others will say, what's her title? No, she has no title, but she's moving things. Okay? So, yeah, Chief Knowledge Officer for a workforce of about 13,000, but Moses, you have no influence. Okay, it's just a title. Think about that. So that's cool. The other point that I want to make about what you just watched is the fact that the work we do at NASA and in space science in general, you don't have to work directly for NASA to do this. There are a lot of companies in private industry that support space exploration. It's now expanding even into the private sector. There are individuals that are coming up with their own little companies to do things like this. We have graphic designers. A lot of what you watched, what you just watched, I played for you. We do the science, we do the measurements, we bring the data down, and then we have graphic artists and designers that actually get into this to eventually give us this. So we have so many what we call allied and related disciplines in space exploration. I'll come back. That's another video. Watch this one too, and then we'll talk. Then we'll get into the talk.
Is it this one?
Yes. I'm playing it. Let's see if that works. Yeah, this one. No. I think that's different. What I'm playing.
Welcome to Space to Ground. I'm Shaniqua Vereen.
Not this one. It should be. It's right in my. So that one is called the intrinsic. See this one? When I play it, it's embedded. This one. Okay. This is another cool video. First question. Who wants to ask the first question while we are waiting for the video to play? Who wants to go for the first question? No question? Okay. No. I've sent a lot of people out there and brought them back safely. So we'll get into the presentation and you see some of the things that I have done. No. He pulled out the first no from me. No, I haven't. Questions? Comments? All right. We'll come back to this. Let me proceed with this. Okay. If you can cut it and get back to my presentation, and I'll come back to the video once we figure it out. There we go. All right. So this is yours truly, Moses. That's part of the Goddard Space Flight Center. We have something going on in this building. For those of you, how many of you have visited Goddard? Okay. So we have a building close to this particular facility called INT where very historic. We have a lot of spacecraft currently in orbit that have gone through a process called integration and test. We have one of a kind, a machine that you would never find it anywhere in the world. For any instrument that is so sensitive that with the slightest move that can impact how it performs, we test it in this building. So think about space instruments being so sensitive to whatever light, whatever observation, and I know you'll be asking me shortly about aliens, whatever observation we want it to pick up. We don't want it getting into space and giving us false alarm. So we do shake it. We have a machine here, we call it a shaker. It's impressive. Literally, if you're put on that machine can shake your bones into pieces. Think about that. So we do all kinds of testing in this building. And I think Ms. Linda Boateng went through all of this, and I'm not going to talk about it. What is important for me to highlight is actually my hobby. I enjoy nature, weightlifting, the wonders of space, exploration, and you can call me a fisherman. I enjoy fishing. So those hobbies are very important. Then I want to talk about this. This is very recent. This is one of our buildings. How many of you have been to Cape Canaveral in Florida? Okay. So when you get a chance to visit Cape Canaveral, NASA has what we call 10 field centers. So the Goddard Space Flight Center is a home of our science right here in Greenbelt. Houston has one of our facilities, one of our centers, is the home of our astronaut corps. So we train the astronauts, right? Those that go to low Earth orbit in the International Space Station. That particular function takes place in Houston, Texas. Cape Canaveral in Florida, which is where this building is, this is called the VAB, Vehicle Assembly Building. It's where we have all our launch pads. That's where the rockets take off. Whether it's an instrument we are sending into orbit, or whether it's human beings on top of a rocket getting into low Earth orbit right here at the International Space Station, which is a flying laboratory for research, from medicine to name it, all kinds of stuff. Not just astronauts having fun and floating around, but they're actually doing research. So when you think of the ISS, think of a lab, a laboratory, anywhere on terrestrial. But instead of being on land, we've decided to take advantage of low gravity. There's nothing like zero gravity, okay? If your teachers are saying, oh, it's zero, it's not zero. Very limited force of gravity in the International Space Station. So we take advantage of that. But let me touch on a little bit of some of the words you're reading. First of all, I didn't get a chance to extend my gratitude to the organizers of this event. I'm very passionate about youth development, youth empowerment, planning your careers in order to succeed. I wish when I was in yours, somebody talked to me. I didn't have that opportunity. So I really want to thank the organizers of this program. This is really a plus for all of you. And for you young people, I would really want to tap into it. And I like the theme, Ignite. I'm coming from rocketry, space science. Yeah, we ignite, we blow things up. No, we don't blow things up. So, and you have Ignite. So it's really, but traditions across Africa, a continent so dear to my heart, instructs me to introduce myself to you before I really get into the meat of my conversation. You know my name, but there's something else. It's funny, but it's real. My last name, which is spelled A-D-O-K-O, Adoko, it's, I always insist it is African as it gets. I actually did this research, and the name is found in over 18 African countries. You can do that. It's in Cameroon, it's in Congo, it's in Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, Sudan proper, Tanzania. But the highest incident of that name, same spelling, same pronunciation, is found in the Republic of Benin in West Africa. And so in short, I have data to back up my name. What does that mean? What is the significance? The significance is, wherever I see people of African descent, I've taken it upon myself by virtue of my last name to say, I have been given a continental-wide responsibility to always give back. How about that? So I have cheerfully accepted that responsibility, that I am an African first before considering the place where I was born. So this statement, what drives me, in case you are wondering, what drives this guy? He's doing all of this. When people, Luzzatto, CA 1735, made this profound statement, when people know things, you know a number of things, and then there is a small group within that group of people, a subset, that decides to know how things within that group, that knowledge set, are categorized and related. That person has an advantage. This is a profound statement. This is what drives me. I consider this the very definition of a system. The ability to understand and appreciate the role of interconnectedness. How are we related to each other? How are we connected? How are we connected? Very, very important. Simply knowing things is not sufficient. So you have individuals that have a lot of letters to their names. Double, triple PhDs. I work with some of them. 2 PhDs, 3 PhDs, 3 masters. No big deal. So they've specialized. They know, they understand a lot of things. But they have failed to appreciate how these things interact or how they are related. And this scholar, Luzzatto, made this profound statement. Today, in 2024, we've realized he was talking about the concept of systems. In other words, take time to see how your spiritual life fits into your academic pursuits, how your social life fits into who you are and what you're going to become. If you think this is just my cell phone business, it's not. If you think this is spirituality and it's just that and I'm done, it's not. If you think this is getting PhD in complex aerospace systems and I'm done, that. If you think I'm from Africa, my parents are of African descent, so I will enjoy the food and visit Africa and come back and put it on the side. It's not. What this gentleman is saying, Luzzatto is saying, take time to know how things around you, your environment, what you're about, they're all related. The essence of a systems concept and giving meaning to your life so that you don't exist and live in anything goes is knowing how things are related. Very, very important. This is what drives me. So before I say yes to things or no to things, I have to check how is it related to the Adoko system. I have my system. How does it fit into it? Very important. Just a school of thought. This is standard, something we have to say. I'm doing this, yeah. I'm doing this in my own capacity. I think you understand this. And NASA did not send me, because most of the time they do send me around the world making presentations on their behalf as their chief knowledge officer and at conferences. So, wow, who am I? When Ms. Osei Boateng approached me and we started talking about this event, I started reflecting, and I said, if she were here, she would tell you I'm always like jumping on positivity. So I started asking myself, who am I at this point, 2024, to paint a picture of positivity for educational excellence effective leadership, something I care a lot about, which is technical proficiency, in the midst of all the uncertainties going on in our world, especially as people of African descent. Who am I? I spent some time reflecting on the question, and then I decided to talk about three things: service, leadership, and technical excellence. The three attributes, I will maintain, those three attributes illuminate hope and move people into action, especially young people. So I hope upon completion of my talk, you may be able to pull one line or two for guidance or for inspiration. Why do I have this? And I really like this joke, where it all started. And the reason why I'm taking time to walk through the Moses journey, as I said earlier, I'm hoping you'll be able to pick little bits to guide your life. Where it all started, I often like to joke that, as you can pick up from my English, I was born and raised somewhere. Who want to take a guess? I don't know. No? Where? Nobody? Nigeria? Okay. Ghana? Okay. South Africa? Okay. England? Please. Where? Congo? Interesting. Oh. Tu parles français? Tu comprends français? Oh, ah bon. Au revoir. Okay. All right. Where? Who wants to take a guess? Togo. So definitely you'll be Benin, I heard that. So you'll be taking me to West Africa. Is that what you're saying? Nobody will take me to East Africa. Whoa. Did you say Ethiopia? Did you say Ethiopia? Wow. You have a very good group. So, the significance, why am I doing this? And by the way, I'll keep where I was born and raised, I'll say through high school, a secret. They want to know. Okay, I'll keep it a secret for now. But the significance of what I'm doing, why I'm taking you through this, is that it's very, very important to calibrate where you are coming from. Did you catch that? It's very important to know where you're coming from. The home, your parents, how you're being brought up, and where you are today and where you're going. If you miss that alignment, chaos. So you have to know your upbringing, where you are coming from. And where you are coming from is a loaded statement. The influences you are being exposed to: worship, church, family. Very important. Stories you're hearing. Even the smells from the African meals that they prepare in their houses, right? All of those things, eventually, one day, are going to shape how you see the world, your system. So being able to calibrate, knowing your roots. I never forget my roots. I still remember, but I'll keep that place a secret. I promise to tell you before I leave. Very important, okay? So for you, know how you're coming up. Just a little bit. I hope you're picking up your points. But when I look back, I have numerous experiences. There are a few that are significant that I want to highlight, and I think it would help you to begin to pick up yours. It's significant for me to point out those experiences that shaped my formative years and influence significantly my outlook on life, education, a sense of family, and a sense of community. While growing up, I lived and studied in a place called Nandi Hills, literally, located on a hill with an elevation over 6,000, to be precise, 6,717 feet above sea level, approximately 2,047 meters above sea level, about 454 kilometers from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Ha ha ha. I know the mathematicians here are beginning to do their homework. Ha ha. I had the real opportunity to engage students and faculty from over 20 different countries in an environment that fostered strong relationship building skills. Underline that. In the age of artificial intelligence, believe me, humanity will go back to this. I grew up in an environment around this place, Nandi Hills, that fostered strong relationship building skills, a sense of community, and a common academic purpose, and a global outlook on all things human, on all problems, and on all opportunities. Looking back, I considered it a great opportunity to have been influenced by a diverse faculty and student population from different countries and from different cultures. I did internships in Uganda. Somebody talk about Ethiopia. Okay, the places that I went to that I was forcibly adopted, so many of them, because I look like them, to the point I had to accept I am an African, and maybe I shouldn't subscribe to any particular location. But that's a different subject. I often share that I have been cultured in the past tense by different cultures. If you really want to have a system that will be resistant to all the negative influences and the shocks and uncertainties in the world, I'm here to tell you there will be more coming, more uncertainties and chaos in our world. But if you really want to have strong resilience, how you handle those things as a young person, you want to be what I call focusedly open. Don't be locked in. And don't just, hey, anything goes. But what we called, in research, there is something we call focused chaos. So we allow innovation. Just innovate. Try things. But it doesn't mean you just have to try things. So we give you a very broad room. I can have all of you at the Goddard Space Flight Center, put you in a room, give you a set of elements, materials, and ask you to explore. And we do this. We do have STEM nights, STEM boys nights, and all of that, girls nights, and we'll bring students over and throw things at them. And then in the morning, we'll go in and see what they've been able to produce, to see the thinkers in the room. Okay? Life is like that. In order for you to be able to make meaning out of what's going on, stay open. And the ability to be influenced by different cultures, different ideas. And remember the key word I use? Focus. It means not just everything, but stay open. Pursuit of higher education, as you can tell, in the sciences, technology, and engineering brought me to the United States as a young man. The discipline of aerospace systems engineering naturally attracted me because of my interest to conceptualize systems before they take form, before they take design. So that attracted me, and I moved towards that direction. But as destiny will have it, and I think you've seen it in my bio, I've been with NASA for, I don't like saying this, I'm going into 25 years. Literally, they hired me when I was a teenager. So those of you that are good with maths, do not calculate my age. Oh, they are not laughing. That's good. So they didn't catch that. Did you hear what I said? I've been with NASA close to 25 years. So they hired me when I was right out of high school. They don't believe it. They don't believe it. Do you believe that? Yeah, I hear some conversation. You don't believe me? Wow. Okay. I have my first challenge. Oh my. Some pictures. So these pictures capture some of the milestones in my career at NASA. Lots of projects, lots of things. Some of them I don't remember. When I was getting ready, I only had a short couple of days to pull some of these things. And then I told myself, I'm going to my own. So let me go and show them a few pictures. There are more that will come to mind. This is a mission. We launched this around 5 a.m. from Cape Canaveral in Florida. I didn't sleep all night. It's called Lucy. Lucy is a spacecraft that we launched to Jupiter, the planet Jupiter. There are asteroids that are very huge, thousands of them. They are in Jupiter's orbit, and they are doing this delicate dance. When I was a child, we used to do this dance in Africa, and I never knew I'll observe the same pattern in space science. So around Jupiter, in Jupiter's orbit, right, you have these thousands of Trojan, we call them Trojan asteroids. They are doing this delicate dance. They are following Jupiter and they are leading Jupiter. And so if Jupiter were to slow down, guess what will happen? The asteroids will bump into it. And from our observations, that had never happened. So space scientists wants to study what's wrong with this Trojan asteroids. We also strongly believe these asteroids are the remnants from the formation of our solar system. So we want to close up study. So we launched Lucy. And the question is, how do we come up with these names? At times we even get into high schools, universities, and then we would ask students, based on the mission criteria, to propose names. This name, Lucy, is from Ethiopia. I didn't give it to them. I didn't. So for those of you that are interested in anthropology, which is digging the ground and excavations and trying to find the origin of humans, the first human skeleton, many full moons ago, many years ago, there was an anthropologist who went to Ethiopia and trying to study the origin of human beings, Homo sapiens, the way we are today. And that work, when she found the first human skeleton, she called them what? Lucy. So we base space exploration, the model we are using, finding the original materials of our solar system. We believe these Trojan asteroids have some secrets regarding the formation of our solar system. So the name Lucy was accepted. So I was very tired. This was seconds before. What you're looking at are lightning from the launch pad areas successfully. It's doing wonders. If I had time, I'll tell you more about Lucy. This is very significant. Anytime you see the astronauts splash up, I worked on the project many years ago. I was a young man. I used to cut all my hair until I got tired of it. That designed the seat. We started with a requirement of 4 seats in the return capsule. So CEV stands for Crew Exploration Vehicle. And so we have to configure the original architecture, the design that will look like. So I remember this. I pulled this up. This is California science instruments for tracking storm intensity in the East Pacific. So we design instruments from here, right? Scientists are still trying to understand what really drives storm intensity. As of today, we still do not have the exact science. There are ideas about temperature, wind speed, all kinds of pressure differentials, name it. But we haven't really nailed it to an exact science. So we dropped some instruments. That's what you're seeing up there. All right, we call it airborne science. Enough of that. I hope you pick some of this cool stuff. Okay. A few years ago, another thing you can pick up, NASA on its official Twitter handlers and decided to celebrate Moses Adoko. Do you know him? So they put this out there a little bit. So that's it. All right. Now I think you'll benefit. From this point forward, you can start taking notes. So space science, there are 4 areas of space science. Okay? And if you ask me, if you are still thinking about, I'm interested in science, but I don't know what I want to do, I'll recommend the first one strongly. So heliophysics is the study of our sun. You may have heard of ideas like things like space weather, which is critical. Utilities, name them. Utility companies and other infrastructure managers on the surface of planet Earth needs to know about space weather. Space weather is so critical. The reason why I recommend the first one, and I'll talk about the rest, is the fact that the community, the science community involved in helio, it's very small. What does that mean? The opportunity for you to make a mark in helio is huge. And we are just beginning to understand helio. What does it mean? Our star, which is the sun, is unique. It's violent. It puts out a lot of charged particles. Coronal mass ejection, CME. Recently, based on SDO, Solar Dynamics Observatory, a fleet of spacecraft that we've sent very close to the sun, looking at the sun 24/7, we are beginning to actually understand how the sun works. Apparently, the sun has seasons. Just as we have El Nino, we have winter. Surprise, surprise, the sun does. A few years ago, we didn't know that. Now we do. So we can even predict when the sun is about to push out things that can impact infrastructure. A few years ago, the power grid from North America, Canada, and the northern part of the United States went shoop, and people were screaming like, what's going on, what's going on? Oh, we knew that at NASA, right? It was one of those ejections that actually made it all the way through the stratosphere, through the 3 layers that envelopes planet Earth and impacted systems right here on the ground. So taking this as a course of study, when the community is very small, you will remember this day. Okay? I will strongly encourage this. You will make a mark. You don't have to work for NASA. So utility companies are now beginning to explore how can they have information, data, prediction, models, predictive models ahead of time to know when these things are coming. You need that science. The second one, my goodness, the Goddard Space Flight Center is the largest Earth science. By the way, I have to say in all of this, we are the largest entity in the whole world. When it comes to Earth science, we have the largest. So what is Earth science? We study the Earth as a system of systems. If you go to universities, you'll find professors that will study the chemistry of the atmosphere. One track, siloed, just straight line. You'll find another one studying ice, one track. You'll find somebody studying precipitation, right? At NASA, our Earth science program looks at Earth science as a system of systems. So the climate models, next 2 weeks, I'll be in New York. We have a small facility in New York called GIS, Goddard Institute for Space Science, Space Studies. Very small group. They are part of the Goddard Space Flight Center. They do all the modeling. So when you hear about the COP series, the planet is warming up. Where is it coming from? It's coming from the Goddard Space Flight Center. But being a government entity, we do science, we don't do politics. So we stay away, we put the science out there. But all the models come from this group. We have so many satellites. If I had time, I'll get into it. When the weatherman comes up to tell you about the weather tomorrow, it's NASA. We don't put our name on it. We develop the spacecraft, we give it to NOAA and some entities, and then they run the forecasts and the predictions. But all of the spacecraft to track this are coming from us. If I had time, I'll talk about something that I often find controversial, but I have to say it anyway. How we've been able to track dust. You would think it's dust, but it's actually storms kicking up from the Chad Basin in Africa and the Congo Basin in Africa. Over the Sahara, it travels all the way to Brazil. And when we took measurements, it's so rich in phosphorus. And for some of us, we made a case that the fertility of the Amazon forest is coming from Africa. If you were able to stop those storms from getting to Brazil, Brazil would not have the topsoil of the Amazon forest, will not have phosphorus. Very interesting, fascinating concept. All of that, Earth science. Planetary. So when you see rovers, Curiosity, when you see them on the surface of planet Mars, are we alone? Each time I present this, I'll be, have you seen aliens? Did you see them? How do they look like? My son doesn't believe me. He tells me, he knows I've signed documents not to disclose the secret, so he will leave me alone. But he knows I have talked to aliens. Now, he's not 8 years. He's 17 years. He still believes his father knows something and he's not telling him. So I've stopped explaining it to him. So all of that falls within planetary. And then astro. Oh my goodness, are we alone? The first video you watch and the second one will blow your mind. It's astro. Remember you said it's calming. Astro is so fascinating. The concept of supernovas, black holes. Are we alone? What are we beginning to see? As of 2024, based on our observations, the closest planets, often we say they have signatures like planet Earth. In other words, they look blue, they can sustain life. Most of those planets, as of today, that we have seen, they are what we call exoplanets. they are outside our solar system. Initially, our exploration focused on Mars, Jupiter. Maybe there's life. Maybe there is water. So we're digging, we've been looking. And now we are beginning to see through astrophysics that there may be something out there outside our solar system. So those collection of planets that we are beginning to see outside our solar systems, if you want to take note, they are called exoplanets, all right? It's 4 areas. I have a second video. I hope we can get to it to play. So, questions, comments? Do I have scientists in the making in the room, engineers? There's another misconception, in case you are thinking about a career. And that misconception is often, it goes like this. Oh, if you're weak in maths, you cannot do science. That's not true. Who believes that? Oh, my. Okay. Let me spend some time on this. Is that okay? So, any teacher in the room? Because I'm going to push hard on teachers. So, I've done a lot of presentations at schools, universities, middle schools, name it. And the teachers will sit in the back, and I'll say this, and I'll say it here. Please do not allow any teacher to dilute or kill your dreams. If I had listened to teachers, I wouldn't have got to where I am today. What am I saying? Listen to them. If you have a dream to pursue something, science, engineering, and a teacher is saying, or a counselor, or what do we call them, a job, whatever they are in the schools. Some of them don't even know what they just have check box. And then they look at your grades, and then they will say, last semester, you did well in this, you did well in that, so you go to human resources. Science has so many disciplines. At NASA, to get one spacecraft up, I led that study a few years ago. For the more complex, like James Webb Space Telescope, very complex systems, we need more than 77 different technical disciplines. Do you know what that means? Mechanical. Not all of those 17 technical disciplines involve maths. For the smallest ones, not less than 25 different disciplines. So you may have those that have to worry about the calculations. And those calculations these days are even becoming, we have supercomputers. They are becoming very easy to do. You just have to know how to manipulate. If you can manipulate AI, spreadsheet, to get certain things out of these tools, you can do engineering. A few years ago, engineering and science didn't have those tools to make it easy. So a lot of what we did in school and at work was here. And this is what people feel so like, he can do this differential equation, so he's so brilliant. Now you have to know how to. If you know how to do it manually, great. But what is really driving state of the art for science and engineering now is you have to know those tools. And so if you're in a bachelor's program, if you're going into a master's program, you still have to know how to use things like MATLAB, some of those tools to help you to see what you're looking at. The best engineers and scientists that have come across in my close to 25 years at NASA are those, and I expect you to ask me that question. Even though you didn't ask, I'm going to put it out there. Are those that have a very broad base. So if you're very good with the humanities, that's okay. If you understand science, that's okay. We even do something called astrobiology. Think about this. We are in the search business. We are looking for life in the solar system, outside our solar system. So if your interest is biology, which I understand doesn't have a lot of maths, you are still a scientist. We'll talk more about this. Do not allow somebody that doesn't actually understand what engineering and science is all about to kill your dream. Okay? All right. We'll talk more about this. So Helio, very good question. Let me see if I can go back. Okay, so I've already addressed this. Oh. All right. I have a few questions. Yeah, so read this and tell me what you think. How do you prepare for a career or a profession? Who wants to try the first one? How do you do that? Research, you do that?
Research.
Research, okay. Any other? How do you do that? What does it take to succeed? Who wants to try the second bullet? What does it take to succeed?
By shadowing someone who is in the profession.
Whoa, by shadowing, okay. How can you make a contribution to a discipline, a trade, your community? How do you do that?
By always looking to do the things that not everyone is thinking about doing.
Okay. Wow. Can you give me an example?
Like by standing out. For you said that not everyone is in the trade that.
Yeah. Very good. All right. The next generation. So this one, I'm going to say a little bit about it. It's more of how do we go about developing the next generation of business leaders, project leaders, community leaders. And I'm very big on this, a constellation of leaders. Do you know what I mean by constellation of leaders? I want thousands of leaders. In other words, everybody is a leader. I'm not talking about leadership that is translated as lordship. I'm talking about leadership that means service. Leadership that means influence. Leadership that means you can get things done. Leadership that means you know what's up. In other words, hey, we have to do this, and move this. And we are going to get this out of it. Help me and I help you. When you see somebody interpreting leadership as lordship, walk away. When you see somebody giving directions, I interpret that as coordination. And to me, that's powerful leadership. And that's completely different from leadership that means, I won't say old school, but leadership that is a little bit lordship. It's gone. That model is gone. All right, so how do you do this? That's a starting point. Let me say this out. Your professors, your mentors, and your parents certainly may have given you insights for life and academic pursuits. But if you wouldn't mind, allow me to highlight a few as well for you, for a life of service, leadership, and excellence. At NASA, we depend on teams of scientists, researchers, engineers, technologists, and I like this last group, mission support professionals to execute complex missions. All our missions, and I mean all of them, whether sending a rover to planet Mars, or sending astronauts to the International Space Station, or something that I really like, we did it recently. How many of you have heard about OSIRIS-X, or sending OSIRIS-X to an asteroid that we name Bennu? We actually sent a spacecraft to an asteroid. You know what an asteroid is, right? And the spacecraft landed on that asteroid, collected sample of that asteroid, because we told the spacecraft to do that. It stalled it and flew back to the United States, came in to the Utah desert, parachute, and landed. And we collected it. And that mission, that cool mission, was pulled off from the Goddard Space Flight Center. We are analyzing the sample that came back from asteroid Bennu. So whether we are doing that or not, what I want to highlight is that our teams, our missions are led by women and men of service. Underline service. We have learned through our complex systems development efforts that effective service simplifies the work of leadership. This is big. Effective service simplifies the work of leadership. When the work of leadership is hard, that means service is weak. When you have women and men who knows what to do and possesses the passion and commitment to get it done, leadership simply becomes coordination and a reflection of service. So I have learned a few things about effective leadership. Leadership that leads to things getting done. Leadership for diverse groups of people. Sometimes when you have different groups, you may have conflicting interests. And in our case, we say conflicting technical requirements. And by the way, it is very difficult to lead very intelligent, very brilliant people. It is very, very difficult to lead them. But those that have learned the true meaning of service often a joy to work with. As future leaders of businesses, and I see all of you, as future leaders of businesses and corporations, government enterprises and communities, let me leave you with a few questions. That's what they teach us in PhD. We ask questions. We don't provide answers. Hello, nobody's laughing. It's true. The idea is, PhD, we ask questions. We know how to ask informed questions. Questions that hopefully we can collectively research, come out with an answer, and solve a problem. When you find a PhD that claims to have all the answers, that can be problematic. So how do you go? Let me ask a few questions. How do you go about cultivating the right skills for the work environment and a life of fun? The last part is very important. If you are working anywhere and you are not having fun, if you're doing something and it's not fun, if you're here and you're not enjoying what's going on, it becomes very difficult. And I have to say it's about attitude, your attitude towards challenge and relationships. Success in the professional environment, some of you may be getting into it shortly, it's not simply a function of how brilliant you are. Oh, did you hear that? Believe me, this is true. Success is not simply a function of how brilliant you are. It is about your ability to see your brilliance as a tool. Your knowledge, your specialized knowledge as a medical doctor, as a nurse, as an aerospace scientist, as a rocket scientist, whatever you are, is only a tool. Your ability to use that tool to solve problems and do great things and positive things to enhance life of humanity on planet Earth, in our case, to do great job and great stuff in space, is what really fulfillment is all about. So you need to master, and I like this word, A-R-T, art. You need to master the art of combining positive attitude, intellectual openness. I want you to be writing some of these words down and then ask me what I mean by them. Technical knowledge and relationship building skills. Why is a guy with hardware background will talk about relationship building skills? I've used that word like 3 times now. What we have realized is when you're doing complex things, you do it in teams, on projects, and that means people with different ideas, different attitudes. So you have to know how to work with people, and you have to know how to relate to them. It's not simply buying them pizza and Coke, and it's not just going to the mall with them or taking them to visit Africa. Most of you are from Ghana, Nigeria, Congo. That's not enough. It's really knowing how to build and sustain relationships. Some of you are very good at making friends, and then you don't know how to maintain it, right? It's part of the human experience. It's part of the challenge we all face as human beings. Don't feel bad. And don't blame those friends that disappeared. They're just being human. So when you realize that weakness, that makes you powerful. But that power is also given to you through that realization to do something about the human experience. So help others on how to build relationships but sustain them. So I like the word cultivate, because that means you keep going, right? You're watering it, sustain it, maintain it. We have actually failed the planet. We haven't been able to sustain this planet. So now there is a big word, sustainability. It's all part of the human weakness. We don't know how to maintain and keep things going. We are so good at messing things up. All right. So in the work environment, relationships on teams, especially when you are working on complex things, very, very important. As people of African descent, I would like to add, how can we collectively, as daughters and sons of Africa, launch Africa, this is dear to me, launch Africa, the mother continent, onto what I call the orbital plane of development. Who has an idea? How do we do that? How many of you have been to Africa? Okay. You've seen some of the challenges, right? And you've seen some of the good things up back home. Oh, did I say that? You say, no, home is in Baltimore. Okay, that's fair, that's fine. But who has an answer? How can we solve some of the problems, some of the challenges you encountered when you visited Africa?
You can educate them.
Medication?
Educate them.
Educate. Okay. Education is powerful. Okay, I'll take that. I need to be going fast.
International corporations?
Establish a national corporation?
Yes.
Yeah.
International collaboration.
Oh, international collaboration. Whoa, that's a big word. Yeah, I agree. But you only collaborate effectively when you know what you want. See, collaboration, that word I said, it's a big word. I wasn't joking, because it has two sides to it. So both sides, if you're doing collaboration, more like partnership, it shouldn't be about me, and it shouldn't all be about you. But also, I have to know what I want from the partnership, and you have to know what you want. And then we have to agree how that is going to play out. Africa has to learn how to do that. You are all of African descent, and I don't want you, maybe I'm too young for what he's trying to say, but I want to plant seed that when you hear the word Africa, anything African, believe me, it's in your DNA, it's in your genes. And remember, I talk about calibration. If you forget your roots, you're weak. And knowing your roots and knowing where you are and having a clear path of where you are going is actually your system, the system I talk about. So I don't want you to shy away or maybe ignore the role of Africa in how you're coming up. Any other input? And then I think I'll move through this very quickly because I want to teach a little bit. This is important, and you may take note on this. So we do this for complex systems. It's also very good for future leaders. So what I have here, let's see, can this thing point? No. Does it have a pointer on the top? I hope I don't mess it up. Did I get it? It worked? Okay. Oh, go back. Okay. So have a very clear vision for your life. Simple. Organizations do this very well. Have that driving, what we call a personal strategy. What does that mean? That means have a plan. Strategy is another word for plan. Have a plan. You can't just go through life without having a plan. The plan may change. That's okay. Life is not that. But at least have a plan. That plan, this is the most important part, came out of this concept, MIV. We do similar things for complex systems development. But it lends itself to the human enterprise as well. Measurable individual projects. Have projects for yourself. And all of them, this is the big one. Don't just do projects for the sake of doing projects. Is it academic? Do you want to become heliophysicists? Or heliophysics scientists, earth science? What do you want to become? What do you want to do? And have measurable objectives, stuff that you'll be working towards to realize that. Name it. And I've listed a few here. See this? Oh, by the way, at some point, you should be able to map this. If you experience a disconnect between strategy and any of these projects, measurable projects, there's a problem. You should be able to map this to say, oh yeah, that fits directly into the plan that I set out for myself. But we're going to spend time on these 4 strong pillars. All of this, the MIV, are held in place by having boundaries. If you want to become an aerospace, a rocket scientist, rocket engineer, there is no way you can be playing in certain, swimming in a certain lane. That will not lead you to that destination in terms of the MIV. And so you need to clearly define your boundary. In a work environment, they will say scope. Essentially, be very clear on this. Not because you are picky, not because you don't want to have anything to do with that. But this also leads into time management, which is the second piece. Have a timeline. How is this thing really playing out? In complex project management, complex projects execution, when we are doing this, we do something called rebaseline. It's okay. Life is not just rigid. So when things happen, you can readjust the timeline, but have a guideline in terms of a schedule for yourself, okay? Cost, oh my. And I'm talking about money, I'm talking about happiness, I'm talking about your relationships, I'm talking about spirituality, I'm talking about all of the above, your dignity, your integrity as a person, your beauty, all of that is cost. Do you hear me, young people? Your beauty, I even said that. Nobody smiled. There's a cost factor to it. And you don't want to downplay that. That will hold up this in place. There is cost. Then the excellence comes in here. You want to be consistent. You want to work at these things so hard. Those that don't know where you're going will think you are crazy. I was called all kinds of names. He's a nerd. He doesn't know how to have fun. He's so locked in that way. He will go crazy. You are laughing. You don't have a life. I heard it all. But guess what? You know why they're saying that? They may not, and you don't have to. They may not really know that the excellence, the persistence, you're doing that to drive some very important MIVs for your life. Those MIVs will feed into the strategy, the plan, and eventually your mission for your life. I think that's very clear. I'm wrapping up very shortly. Consider today a special day set aside to reevaluate your academic and professional pursuits. You may also treat it, for some of you, as a day to begin a life of service and leadership. And I'm talking about leadership that gets things done, not leadership that is lordship. Leadership is critical, whether in a stressful situation, such as making the decision to launch a billion-dollar spacecraft with humans on top of the rocket, or whether deciding to roll out a new product in an African country. It is still leadership. And so to succeed in either of these extreme examples, you need the same set of leadership thinking and moral character. Friends, let me also remind you that on the journey of service and leadership, you need to be creative and innovative. You need to be flexible, particularly in uncertain times. And that includes how you think. How you approach problems. I wish I had time. How you think. That's a big one. Everything begins from here. How you think, how you psych yourself up, how you relate, how you take challenges, setbacks, failures. So there are a few ideas on how you do this. Demonstrate respect for all, and I'm running through this very quickly so that we can get time to talk. Demonstrate respect to all, irrespective of rank and position. Oh my goodness, that's very important. There are some people that will only smile at you because you are high and you are wearing a suit. Please, show courtesy and respect to all. Please do that. Communicate openly, honest. So this is a tricky one. It's easier said than done. Honesty. I like saying this because African, I can say this. I'm an African. Am I an African? Okay. Really? You're not saying? What do you think? So I can say this. Okay, forgive me. Okay, people of African descent, forgive me about what I'm going to say. So the African way of upbringing and growing up and doing things at times can be slightly locked in. And I want to say this correctly because you are young, so that you don't say, oh, Dr. Adoko came there and said we can do anything. No, that's not what I'm saying. But you are in a stage in your life where you have to deal with the global community. You have to understand the Chinese mindset and European manipulation tactics. Did you hear what I said? You'll be dealing with challenges in the world that your parents and I didn't have to. And unfortunately, we are handing over the baton to you because it's a relay. So we have to equip you. So I'll be lying to you if I make it look like it's easy. There are different ways of thinking and different ways of manipulating you and your future that you want to be aware of. And if you stay so locked in, you wouldn't know, guess what? WhatsApp. So I want you to know WhatsApp. How the other demographics, and it's okay, we love the human family. But you also want to be able to drive your system so that your system doesn't get imposed upon. And so I want to talk about being honest to yourselves and the communities that you represent. And I'm going to shift very quickly and leave you with a few lessons. A reflection on my journey often reminds me of the need to encourage others. I've learned a few things, but what have I learned that is good enough to share with young people, young minds, and future leaders? There are 3 key lessons that have helped me along the way that, if you wouldn't mind, I would like to bring them to your attention and see if you can pull a line, a sentence here and there, a word of wisdom to guide you. So 3 lessons. The first lesson, I have learned to ask questions. Questions informed by a genuine sense of curiosity, the desire to understand, to know. I have learned to explore in order to understand, and I have also learned that it is important to establish relationships in order to understand or build a community of understanding. Write this one down. It's very important to establish a community of understanding because you cannot do it alone. And a community of understanding means, you've heard the expression, birds of the same feathers flock together, right? A community of understanding means you are going somewhere, right? So there are certain jokes that I'm making that only people of African descent can understand. I've been doing it all morning, right? So you see where this is getting into. So you need to develop relationship building skills and establish a community of understanding. You need a community that understands the mission, including its challenges as well as its opportunities. Lesson number 2, I have learned that failure is not a bad thing. Failure, yeah, I lecture at Columbia University and the George Washington University. I know what is failure, I know grades, the grading systems. But I have learned that failure, the word failure, is not a bad thing. It's so unfortunate that failure has taken such a negative meaning. So unfortunate. Failure just as success. Oh, you like this. Write this down. Success is not good at all times. Let me put on my African accent. Success is not good at all times. What is he saying? Just as failure is not a bad thing, there are times when success is also not good at all times. Your failure is an opportunity to discover new insights and new techniques. Failure, as others have maintained, is the raw material for building resilience into your personality. Can you take it? As Chief Knowledge Officer at NASA, I have led the study of technical failures for decades and have concluded that failure provides organizations the tools to build resilience, to change, to launch new systems, new rockets, get new ideas that nobody else has. Only failure can facilitate those kinds of insights. See, the challenges of success is that sometimes you don't even stop, you don't pause to analyze what made you successful in the first place. Do you know that? Especially when you are so brilliant. At times you don't even stop. What gave you that A? It could be luck. Oh yeah, you were lucky. So success can be very tricky. Whereas failure, if you don't look at failure, you got an F on maths and you want to do Helio, as Dr. Adoko strongly encouraged you. That's okay. But guess what? It's a wake-up call. Don't look at failure, setback, as, that's the end. Look at it as in, whoa, it's a call. They're asking me to check this again. Do you get that? Change your mindset about failure. I don't care what people are telling you, what the society is telling you. You are not a loser. You are so special. You are so special. If you understand systems, you will know every human being walking the surface of planet Earth actually allows gravity to play out the way it's playing out. You are not here by accident. Nobody. It's not just a crochet. It's real. It's scientific. So when you fail, it's human language. And they've used this word to discourage people. Some actually gets into a state of despondency. They don't know how to pick themselves up. And I'm talking about failure, relationships, in school, name it. It goes on and on and on and on. Failure allows you to check everything and learn to improve and succeed. In short, treat failure differently going forward. Diversity of thought, I'm going to leave you with some words. Diversity of skill sets are essential ingredients for solutions. So I have learned to respect diversity. I keep stressing this word, diversity, today in its various forms. And it's important for me to say that diversity often comes in different forms. This is the last lesson, and then I'm done. Always look forward to the future with a sense of anticipation. I have learned that fear is not real. Who wants to challenge me on that? Fear is not real. Fear stands for false evidence appearing as real. Fear stands for, the F stands for false, a big false. Fear is not real. I have learned the role of the human emotion we call fear, and I'll strongly recommend to you to put fear in perspective. It's just there to make your cognitive system, your physiology, get in alignment and get you to think straight, but it's not real. You have to learn how to master your fears. Don't allow your fears to drive or control you or make decisions for you. In closing, I have to say that the future is for those who can handle chaos, ambiguity, and uncertainty. As someone who has supported space science and exploration for many years, I have learned that the future is for those with the mindset and the dexterity to handle chaos, ambiguity, and the unknown. You see, what often appears as chaos in the distant future are the same elements. They are the same elements with the passage of time and persistent curiosity become the welcoming lights to new horizons, new stars, and new discoveries, and of course, new constellations. I wish you all the best, and as we say in space exploration, Godspeed. Thank you for having me.
You could do better than that. All right, all right, all right, all right. They're asking where are you from?
Tough. So I'm confused. Where are the people from Benin? Who is from Benin here? Nigeria. Okay. Ghana. Oh, Lord. Kenya. Cameroon. Okay. So let me talk. I'm going to be frank with you why I'm confused. So I was born in the southern part of Ghana. I thought some of you would be able to pick up the picture that I projected. I grew up in Cameroon in a place called Bafia. Have you heard of Bafia? A few kilometers from Yaoundé. I went to school in Nairobi, Kenya. I did internship in Uganda. This boy is confused. Can't you tell? In Ghana, I live in different places before even high school. I graduated from high school. So, very confused. But I was born in Ghana. Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not Ghanaian. I'm African. I'm finding it so hard to subscribe to being Ghanaian when other equally strong African cultures has influenced what I have become. Some of the best teachers I had were Kenyans that gave me a worldview that nobody can take away from me today. No disrespect to my Ghanaian teachers. Teacher Amponsan was so great. The lady that introduced me to mathematics, she was left-handed Ghanaian, brilliant. I celebrate her every day. I solve a problem, math problem at NASA. So all of these countries, and this is the story I want to leave you with. Stay open. Stay open. Yeah, I'm proud. Yeah, Ghana. Yeah, my Ghanaian family will be screaming at me, but that's a fact. You're Ghanaian. She's smiling. All right. We'll have questions about science.
They're keeping their questions till the end because you're not done.
No.
He's not going anywhere. He's going to be with us for a little bit longer. We have 5 minutes. We're going to go to our breakout rooms. So we've done this before. If you're 18, from 18 to 25, stay here. If you are in elementary school, middle school, all the way to grade 7, you will go to the music room. Is that what it's called? Music room? Go to the music room. High schoolers, go to the room next to Bishop. So Bishop's office is here and the room is there. The very last classroom. Does it make sense? Those are the 3 groups. 18 to 25, 26, stay here. 6th grade down, go to music room. 7th grade down, sorry. Go to music room. And then 8th grade and all of high school, go to the last classroom next to Bishop. We'll start our breakout rooms shortly. Hurry up. You have 4 minutes and 20 seconds to get there.